Sherry Brauer, and I have a part in the show. My character's name is Yente, the matchmaker. I knew that John, the director, had intended to have a Yiddish accent in the characters that were Jewish. And so I went to Google, of course, and I pulled up how to do a Yiddish accent. And it worked quite a while on that because there are certain things that are typical of that dialect. And so when I did go into auditions, I would have a Yiddish accent. That took some time and some practice to do that. I am familiar with the show, having done it twice in the past. Not playing Yente, but watching people play Yente, and I know what her character is. And I did some other research on Google about, specific things that she is known for as a character. Watched a few cuts on YouTube of various productions just to get an idea of how she was played. And then I decided how I wanted to play her. She is a fun character. She is sassy. She is a gossip. She is assertive. She knows her role and wants to perform it all the time. Of course, back in those early 1900s, people didn't date and marry. They were generally matched up in the Jewish faith. And so she was the person that made the right matches. And it's been a fun role to play. It's fun to be a big character. I mean, you can do all kinds of things that maybe in a typical play you would just have a normal American personality, but Yente is somebody who commands attention and knows everything. And when she talks to people, it's usually great big amounts of talking because she wants to be sure that they understand totally what's going on. So the dialogue that I have here is not choppy at all. It's just great big pieces of dialogue that you have to learn, and then you're done. It was written about a people that lived in the early 1900s over in Russia, the whole Jewish area. But it is very pertinent to today in that a large part of the story is the traditions that they have and how they might change in that they are being moved away from their homeland, being forced to go by the Russians. And of course, that is kind of going on, and it's a beautiful story of how things change over time. Even though you have set rules and set laws and traditions, how sometimes there needs to be change for good reason, and sometimes not so good reason. Well, I must say that we had a wonderful dialect coach online that was made available for us for this show. And so a lot of times I would, and they will actually do line readings with a Yiddish accent. And I would read those parts in the play and make notes in there because there are certain things that the Yiddish accent is expected. They don't pronounce TH. So instead of the, it's da, da. It's called the dental T. Their endings, INGs, are ing. It's a guttural sound. They pull out words like news is noose. There's certain things that you do in the Yiddish accent that may or may not be recognized by the audience, but they're authentic. And it was interesting. For a long time, nobody had a Yiddish accent except for a few of us who'd worked on it. And when I started work with them, they actually did. They'd been going over it, but they were afraid to sound stupid. So they didn't want to use it. And everybody has a little different twist to it. Sometimes we forget that we have it and it comes out more Southern Illinois, or there might even be like some New York in there. French, I've heard a little bit of that, but it's hard if you don't grow up with it. But it's fun to try something different. It's been wonderful. So good to have new faces. Just meeting them and watching them learn new things that they may or may not have known before, but because they're in this theater, we do things differently maybe than in other theaters, and seeing them grow. Auditions are difficult. It's probably one of the most difficult parts for me. And I've done this for a long, long time. I still get nervous. I still get worried that I'm going to squeak on a note or miss a line or something. But your desire to be a part of the show has to match your ability. And maybe you want to start with just being a part of the ensemble, singing with a group, saying a line or two here or there, getting the gist of what it's like to be in a show, because there's many moving parts in a musical. You can help with costumes, you can help with dialect, you can help with the vocal parts, or any number of things you can do backstage with lighting and sets and design and that sort of thing. But just the people who have started and come to the show generally come for more than 1 year because they now have a new family and they want to be a part of something, whether it's little or big. And some people never get a big role. They maybe don't have the abilities that other people do that auditions for the roles, but they can still be a part of this theater, and an important part of the theater. This show has, I don't know, 30-some characters, I think, 34, 35 characters. And within that number of people, there are small little things that happen that are important, that make the story click. And then there are large roles where people are on stage all the time and sing and dance and talk, but it still doesn't go on without everybody.